Closure of the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is situated between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, which is between the Oman and Iran. The Strait of Hormuz is considered as one of the world's most paramount strategic choke points that can transport 20 million barrels of crude per day, approximately 1/5 of the world oil global consumption. Statistically, 20 million barrels per day, one barrel equivalent to 159 liters. So 20 million barrels multiplied by 159 liters will give us over 3 billion liters, which means the crude that pass through the Strait of Hormuz on a daily basis is over 3 billion liters of crude. And where does the crude come from? It comes from the Gulf countries. Gulf countries like Iraq, Iran, Qatar, Oman, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and United States Arab Emirates. All these countries their crude pass through the Strait of Hormuz. And when you look at the length and breadth of the Hormuz, because the Strait of Hormuz, that very place is very narrow. It's a water sea. The water sea is very narrow. Look at it. By length is 90 nautical mile, which is approximately 167 kilometers by length, and by width, which is the breadth, is 52 nautical mile, approximately to 67 kilometers. So it's a very narrow water sea, and it is very, very important. The alternative route, if this country does not want to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, is through the pipe, and that pipeline can only transport 2.6 million barrels per day compared to 20 million barrels per day, and that is why we call it the most important choke point. Now look at it. Presently in the commodity market, the Brent crude stand at $78.05 per barrel. West Texas Intermediate in the commodity market is $76.21. Nigeria 2025 benchmark, which is our budget, is $75 per barrel. And of course, natural gas is 3.99 per barrel. Now, the reason why you see that the price of crude oil is spiking this period is because of geopolitical conflicts or tension in the Middle East. There is a conflict between the Israel and Iran. Now, US has intervened on behalf of Israel by striking Iran nuclear facilities. 3 of Iran nuclear facilities were struck by the US. And as a result, the Iran parliament, they decide to close the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, that is also subject to ratification from other Islamic nations. But now, if the Strait of Hormuz is eventually closed, what are the economic implications? 1, disruption of supply. Don't forget, we said earlier that 20 million barrels of crude pass through the Strait of Hormuz. But this Strait of Hormuz, if it is closed, which means the supply of the crude will not be able to go to Asia. In Asia, it will go to China, Japan, India, and Korea, as well as Europe. So once there's a disruption in the supply of the crude to the Asia and the Europe, what happens to the price of the crude in the commodity markets? The price of the crude will continue to surge. In fact, the analysts are so projected that if the geopolitical tension going on in the Middle East is not resolved, then we may be seeing the price of Brent crude to go as high as 100 and 120 per barrel. Although presently Nigeria is actually benefiting from what is going on in the Middle East, because as the price of crude is going up like this, Nigeria tend to have more revenue. We are going to have more foreign reserve. But we are not saying we are happy with what is going on, because one way or the other, we are still going to be affected later. So one of the economic attendants, or what we call economic implication of the ongoing geopolitical tension in the Middle East, especially for closure of the Strait of Hormuz, is disruption of supply. Apart from that one, we have increase in cost of energy. Now, any company at all that is making use of the fuel, maybe the jet fuel, the gas, the PMS, there have been increase in cost of their production. So that's what we call by say increase in cost of the energy. It's another economic implication. Distortion in the global economy. Before you know it, if this geopolitical tension is not being resolved, then it can even lead to economic recession, a global economic recession. Now, increase in cost of shipping and insurance. There is no marine insurance that want to insure any of the ship that want to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, because we know what Iran can do. If the Strait of Hormuz is blocked and the ship is trying to pass the place, Iran, because this Strait of Hormuz is within the jurisdiction of Iran. So before you know it, they can just throw missiles to the ship. They can sink the ship. Insurance company has entered into serious debts. So there is no insurance company that will want to insure any ship pass through the Strait of Hormuz presently. And of course, all these things that we are talking about, it will also lead to what is called inflation. For Nigeria, it's going to be an imported inflation. Because apart from what? Exporting crude. Whatever we want to import now to Nigeria, since we are imported nation, the cost of everything will be on the very high side. So we may be thinking that we are actually benefiting from increase in price of the crude. Of course, we are benefiting. But at the same time, we are going to be faced with what is called imported inflation. The essence of me teaching this is for a stock trader or an investor to understand what is called a market analysis. I won't say because I'm a stock trader, then I'm only interested in what is going on in the stock market. We also need to look at what is going on in the commodity market. So among the sector of the economy, which of the companies listed in Nigeria stock market do you think will be benefiting? Which sector will be benefiting from what is going on in the world markets? And apart from that one, you should be able to understand what is called currency market. So as an investor, you must understand what is called the stock market, the commodity market, and the foreign exchange market. We call it intermarket analysis. It's only when you understand what is going on, because you can actually use the tradable information within an economy to actually boost your portfolio as an investor. So you must understand the three markets I'm talking about: the stock market, the foreign exchange market, and the commodity market. But this is a commodity market. With this, we come to the end of today's class. Thank you.